All right, let's go on to story number 9, and we're going to stick with the wedding theme for this one. So story
Okay.
number 9, there's a woman who goes by the name Vampy Rick on TikTok, and she had an outdoor wedding at a residence, and it was an intimate setting, and it looked like there was water in the background, so it was like a nice little place. They ran into a problem though during the wedding. Do you have any idea what it was?
The bride didn't show up.
That's a good guess. The neighbor started trimming her lawn right as the bride walked down the aisle. We have a video from TikTok. The video has audio. Go ahead, and Joel, play a clip of the video.
Was that in?
Your loving and faithful husband, in plenty and in want.
Isn't that something?
Was that intentionally done?
I think it must have been, because she was looking at him, as it was happening. So they think she did it on purpose to disrupt the wedding. She continued using that weed whacker throughout the entire ceremony. They asked her to stop, but she ignored them. Guests couldn't even hear the marriage vows, as you saw there in that clip, because of that. The couple feels like their wedding was ruined because of this woman. Now, I got to ask you, and you're a good person to ask this. I think that we have all at some point dealt with a miserable person in some walk of life or another. However, if I can think of one person who maybe has not dealt with a miserable person, it's Aanchal Vash, because you are like the most positive human being that I know. And so I'm curious, have you dealt with a miserable person? Because it's hard for me to fathom.
Yes. So I work, I run a mental health non-for-profit called Reach Out Together Foundation. I don't want to use the word miserable, but I would like to think that they were having a bad day or a bad month or a bad year.
A decade.
You know what I mean? And this person was, I guess, one of the volunteers working with us for about 1.5 years. And over the last few months, I just started noticing that, this person's not fully there, like not really engaged. And so one day, I don't know what happened. She just got so aggressive. This is a person that I used to sponsor her intranet because she was living in an African country. Don't want to mention it, but I was sponsoring her intranet, during COVID. She was going through a rough time. So I was trying to take care of her as much as I could for her volunteer time at ROT. So for her to lash out at me out of thin air, and in that moment too, as it was happening, I'm just giving her the space to see what she needs to say. And in the end, I just wished her really well. And that was the end of it. Since then, we've never talked. She's reached out to me several times, but I continue to wish you well.
Wow. It's hard for me to fathom somebody like being miserable with you. I got to tell you a story. You know how in Toronto, how the houses are very close together?
Yeah.
Right. And in most cities like New York, the houses are really close together. I once bought an investment property in Toronto, a house, and the neighbor next door, the houses are so close together that all you have on one side is like a fence and really not a whole lot of space on either side. I'm getting this house fixed up. And when the contractor is out there trying to work on the siding, she came out with her cell phone, stood right at the fence, recording him the entire afternoon. And whenever his back went over the fence line while he's working on the siding, she would tell him, move back or I'm calling the police.
What?
Yes. And I had never experienced this kind of stuff. They would call me and tell me, and I just thought, there's a lot of misery out there, Chili.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There is.
So it's unfortunate. That's kind of how it was. All right, let's go on to story number 8. This is reported by ABC 13 Houston. So it seems like you are always trying new physical endeavors, it seems, as long as I've known you. I remember when Nigeria, they were in the World Cup, and you sent me a video. You're like dancing for the Nigerian national soccer team.
Yeah.
You told me that you recently discovered Muay Thai. You're doing Muay Thai classes now.
Yeah.
What about golf? Are you much of a golfer?
I just started learning. Yes.
It's like I knew, Well, this is going to be a story you'll find interesting then. There were some guys playing golf at the Cypress Lakes Golf Course in Cypress, Texas. And all of a sudden, their game got interrupted by a very unusual sight. Aanchal Vash, what happened?
I am so curious. What could have interrupted their golf?
There was suddenly a police chase across the green with a Range Rover being chased by a police cruiser. And we got the video from ABC 13. Joel, you got it? All right, there's the Range Rover. Look at that. This is across the green. And here it comes in just a minute. There goes the Range Rover right there. You can see it in the back. Yep, there it is. And then in a minute, the video cuts back, and then you will see the police cruiser. There he is.
What?
Turn across the golf green, going after the guy in the Range Rover.
Oh my God.
Oh, look at the guys. They're like, he went that way. He went that way.
This is so entertaining, though.
That's what happened. The two people inside the Range Rover, they were later identified as 20-year-old Gray Martinez and 19-year-old Trevor Passmore. They kept driving when the deputy tried to pull them over for a traffic stop, and that was the end result. When they kept driving, he chased them through a golf course. Eventually, they crashed the car. They tried to take off on foot, and they were apprehended, and they now face charges including felony, evading in a motor vehicle, and harassment of a public servant. Aanchal Vash, have you ever witnessed a criminal act? Maybe it's a police chase, maybe it's a theft, maybe it's an assault, anything.
I actually have, yes. But this is a bit serious, I would say. So there was a time when I was living on Yonge and Dundas,
In Toronto?
in downtown Toronto, overseeing the Dundas Square. And around, I would say 11 p.m. in the night, I heard some gunshots. So I went, it's one of those places that's just complete, glass floor to ceiling. And I could see the whole thing. I saw a young boy get shot, and I saw the police officers come in their car and how slow they were in attending to him, performing CPR. The young boy didn't end up making it, but I saw I think there were a bunch of, like a gang of people, and I saw them run in different directions.
Wow.
Yeah,
So it was a gang-related shooting.
Yeah.
Wow. You know that I was once witness to a bank robbery. Did I ever tell you that?
No, were you there?
Yes. I was in line at a CIBC bank in Midtown Toronto, Canada, and the guy two ahead of me in line, I hadn't really paid attention to him, but he had a duffel bag and he kept on looking around. He ended up going to the teller and took out a note and said, "I have a gun, give me all the money." And I wasn't aware of this. They gave him one of those cash packs with the paint in it, and he took off by me, and it wasn't until he ran by me that light bulb went off. And I realized what was happening. They shut the bank down. They called the police. I had to get interviewed by the police. And here's a lesson. I said to one of the police, I wish I had have known sooner, because I could have tackled the guy. He went right by me, and I could have tackled him. And the police said, "I'm glad you didn't. You don't know if he had a weapon on him."
Yeah, the best fight is no fight.
That's right. That's right. Wow. I'm learning some stuff about Aanchal Vash today. This is interesting.
This is great.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I clicked the subscribe button. You really should too. If you like videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, subscribe now.